This is going to be rappel line recovery. What I have is my primary mount, which is a figure 8, my secondary mount, which is a butterfly. I didn't have enough line, but there would be another butterfly here, which would be right down the line there. When you mount this up, it'll be a primary, secondary, tertiary. You would have your lines coming off, and they would be all the same tension. Notice that the lines are double tied. Again, primary, figure 8. Primary is figure 8. Secondary is a butterfly, and of course your tertiary would be a butterfly. Also, I have a non-locking stew-by right here. I'm sorry, a locking stew-by right here. This is set up for a right-handed repeller from this position here. Now you also can use for your rappelling a figure 8. So from here I got my primary, secondary, tertiary, which for instructional purposes I don't have it on here, and also you have your figure 8 if you want to use it locked into your locking stew-by. So I'd be going down in this fashion here. Also, with what's great about this with this figure 8 is as I'm going down, as I can flip this over and I can lock it in position and stop my body when I want, and I can take it out when I want. So those are the basic military hookups for your rappelling. Now what we want to do today is go over how to retrieve your line, go from a cliff, a helicopter, whatever you're coming out of, and retrieve your line. Before we do that, I want to go over your non-locking stew-bys. We're going to go off your primary figure 8, which would be also done with your secondary and your tertiary mounts. I've got 2 non-locking figure 8s. Now, when I attach my secondary backup, notice how they'll go the same way. You don't want that, because if your rope slips off, it's going to slip out the same way. So what it's called opposite and opposing. So my secondary backup, I'm going to turn that around, and there's going to be an X, opposite and opposing. So I'm going to clip this on my primary right now, which is a figure 8. And if you look at it, there's an X, opposite and opposing. There's no way that rope's coming out. Turn it around, opposite and opposing. No way it's coming out. Turn it around, opposite and opposing. There's no way it's coming out. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go over our rope recovery. Okay, now what we're going to do is line recovery. What is typically taught in the military, and what I was taught in the Marine Corps, say this is your rappel line. Okay, you're going to tie an end of the line, starting of, a middle line bowling or inline bowling. You start, say you're going to rappel. This is your leading end, this is your running end. This would be tied together and you rappel, but there'd be 2 lines for safety. Now, for your line recovery, you're going to rappel off one line and recover it from the other line. Now, typically, this is what is taught. Now, we'll get a close-up of this in a minute. You make a loop, you get your running end, and you put it inside that loop, and you tighten it down on top of it. Now, this is why I changed the system when I was in recon, because there's a challenge with this. Now, I've tightened that down. We'll get a close-up of this in a minute. Now, for safety purposes, I am going to get a non-locking stew-by, and I'm going to clip it onto my loop and clip it onto the side that I'm rappelling from. Okay? So I'm going to clip it there. What this will do is this will keep this loop from pulling through and dropping whoever's rappelling. All right? So now, this is a self-tightening knot. So when I rappel off this, it tightens down on itself. I'm rappelling, it tightens down. My team comes down. Once my team is down, I will unclip the non-locking. I'm the last person. I'm telling Charlie, last person to come down. I clip this on my body or wherever I'm going to clip it. Now, I'm going to get the other side and I'm going to pull. That undoes the knot. Now, there's a challenge. I have to get all this rope and I have to pull it all the way around, and then it's going to come down and fall. Well, there's a better way to do that. A little bit faster. So what I'm going to do, instead of following my rope around, because if I'm standing at the top of the cliff, what I got to do is I've got to get this rope, I've got to feed it all the way down, I got to tie all my knots. is a better way to do it. You make a loop. You get that loop and you tie it here. Now what happens is I'm going to make my loop, again, another loop, put the primary loop through that one, get my rappelling side and pull that knot tight. Now this is the most important part. I've got to make sure that this is really super tight. Again, we'll do this close up in just a second. That's really tight. For safety, the same thing. Non-locking, going off my rappelling side. Remember, this is a self-tightening knot. So the more tension I give on my repeller, it's going to come, it won't come down. It just tightens up. Now, I'm the last guy in my team. I take it off, I clip it on my body. Now watch what happens. My other side, I pull. It's going to wrap around the tree and it comes back down to myself. Now, watch. It just falls. It doesn't have to go all the way back up and all the way back down. Okay? Now, how do you make this a little bit more safe? Well, let's do it this way. Let's go ahead and reconfigure. It takes 2 seconds to do this. Tie my knot, put it through, rappel side, tighten it down, tighten my knot. Okay, this is my rappel side. Well, it's in the middle of the night. I can't see anything. How do I know which one I'm going to rappel off of? Well, you know by looking, number one, by looking at the knot. Well, say I'm the first guy to go. I know I rappel down. Okay, I've got my safety on, say. Okay, I go down. Which one do I pull and which one do I belay on? Because at the bottom they look exactly the same. So what you can do is tie it in the line bowling if you want, which is a quick, easy knot to tie. In the line bowling, and you can get carabiner, clip it on. This is the one I do not rappel on. So the guy at the bottom, when he gets down there and his buddy's coming down, he can belay and he says, I don't need to pull on this because if I pull on this, I'm going to make them fall. So it's a safety feature. Okay, this is the typical way with the military that teaches you to put the rope all the way around. What we're going to do is I'm going to make a loop. Okay, notice that the running end's at the bottom. I make a loop. I'm going to reach my hand into that loop and I'm going to pull the anchored side in tight. Anchor side is in tight. Now notice the more that I pull this anchored side, it becomes tighter on this knot. This is my rappelling side. I get the other side and I make a loop and put it through that hole. Then I will pull my rappelling side tight. Now, to make sure that this doesn't pull through and actually make it bowling, I need to get this loop here and I need to make sure that's really tight. Now, that is the knot that you need to make. I will get my stew-by, clip it to my rappelling side for safety. There is no way that this loop is going to disconnect with weight on it. Last man off, takes it off, pulls the release side, it comes down. Now, let's do the other way with the entire loop. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it the faster way. I'm going to get a loop, and I'm standing on top of the cliff or wherever you're at, loop it around the tree. Doesn't matter which side you do this on, it's the same procedure. Make a loop, reach down through the hole, pull it, make it tight. This is my rappel side. It's a slip knot. Get my other loop, the one that I made to put around my anchor, push it through, then I'm going to tighten my rappel side. Now I'm also going to get this little side here and make sure that the knot is tight. If it's not tight, it'll slip through. Now, when I rappel, it tightens on itself. Okay, it tightens on itself. And what makes this even better, not only can you retrieve the rope faster, there's more material of rope that can't pull through the hole to make it a bowling. For safety, non-locking stew-by, clip, clip. There's no way that this is going to pull through. If it does, it anchors itself. Okay? It anchors itself. When I want to recover, last man on the team takes the non-locking stewby off. When they pull this time, the rope is going to wrap around the tree until the knot is down. You pull, and then now when you keep pulling, the whole thing drops rather than going feeding around the tree.